Hello, class, and thank you for joining me for an AR read aloud of a scholastic book called When I Grow Up. And this specific When I Grow Up is about Sally Ride. She's pictured here. This is the real life Sally Ride, and this is the cartoon drawing of Sally Ride. This is written by Anne Marie Anderson. All right, let's get started. So if you know anything about a glossary is usually at the end of a book or the end of a story. So I thought it'd be best, because this is a scientific book, to go over some of the words first. Astrophysics, the scientific study of the structure of stars, planets, and space. Computer science, the study of computers and their uses, which I'm sure a lot of you really like. Data, information collected in a place so that it can be studied. Engineers, those who are specifically trained to design and build machines or large structures such as bridges and roads, etc., etc. Really, anyone who invents things, who makes anything better. Experimenting, scientifically testing or trying something in order to learn something particular. You guys do experimenting all the time with Mrs. Chow. Meteorology, the study of Earth's atmosphere, especially in relation to climate and weather. Navigation, finding where you are and where you need to go when you travel in a ship, an aircraft, or other vehicle. Your parents might have navigation or GPS, they call it on their phones. Physics, the science that explores matter, energy, motion. You guys study about physics all the time. We just finished a unit on physics, as a matter of fact. Physiology, the science that deals with the function of living things. And the scientific method, which you do all the time at school, collecting information about a problem and then testing your ideas about it. Wow, that's a whole lot that has to do with a lady named Sally Ride. So let's find out what she did when she grew up. And look at that. My birthplace, same as where you guys are living now, Los Angeles. We are Los Angeles County, not Los Angeles City, but you get my drift. All right, my name is Sally Kristen Ride. I was born on May 26th, 1951, in Los Angeles, California. My dad, Dale, was a college professor, and my mom, Joyce, was a teacher. I had a younger sister named Karen, but I called her Bear because I had trouble saying her name. I grew up in a cozy home with a lot of books, and I liked to read. My favorite stories were mysteries, spy stories, and science fiction novels. I liked Nancy Drew, James Bond, and Superman. I love science too. I spent a lot of time experimenting with my chemistry set and telescope. I also loved sports. I read the sports pages of the newspaper, especially if there was an article about my favorite baseball team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I memorized details about the players' ratings and batting averages, and I dreamed that one day I might play baseball for the Dodgers. When I wasn't reading about sports, I was playing football, softball, or soccer with kids in the neighborhood. I didn't mind being the only girl who wanted to play. I just wanted to win. I learned early in life that it pays to be a team player, and I was usually the first person picked when we chose teams. My love of sports led me to tennis. I practiced hard and was determined to play well. By the time I was 12, I was competing all across America and winning. Instead of playing for the Dodgers when I grew up, I now wanted to be a professional tennis player. Thanks to my tennis talent, I received a scholarship to attend a private high school in Los Angeles. In my junior year there, I took a physiology class taught by Dr. Elizabeth Momartz. That class changed my life. Can you imagine a class being so powerful that it can change your life? Well, that's what happened when she took a physiology class. Dr. Momartz taught me how to use the scientific method to solve problems. I had always loved puzzles, mysteries, and data, and now I realized that becoming a scientist would involve all of those things. I had a new dream to pursue. And this is a photo of her college, Stanford University. I graduated from high school as one of the top 6 students in my class. Wow. Then I took physics classes and played tennis at Swarthmore College in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, before transferring to Stanford University in Palo Alto, California. Boys and girls, in high school, she was in the top 6. I love to post, little shout out videos about you guys of who has the top scores in the class, and several of you are constantly in the top. This could be you going on to do amazing things, just like Sally Ride. I loved my science classes at Stanford, but in my junior year, I took a class about the playwright William Shakespeare. I also loved his plays. When I graduated from Stanford in 1973, I received 2 degrees, not just one, kids, 2. One in physics and another in English. Wow, she really works hard. The Milky Way galaxy. I stayed at Stanford for 5 more years, earning a master's degree in physics and a PhD in astrophysics. My research at Stanford involved studying energy given off by stars, but I wasn't sure what type of job I wanted now that I was leaving school as Dr. Sally Ride. Then one day I was reading the Stanford Daily newspaper. An ad from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, said they were looking for 35 new astronauts. For the first time, women were invited to apply. Suddenly, I knew exactly what job I wanted: to be an astronaut. I sent in my application that day. Could this be me? More than 7,000 men and 1,000 women responded to the ad, and I was chosen as one of the 208 finalists. After a week-long interview and months of waiting, I got a phone call from NASA offering me a position in the astronaut class of 1979. By the way, your teacher was 8 years old when this happened. Along with 5 other women and 29 men. I was thrilled. In case you're wondering why there's a plane there when we're talking about NASA, you'll see on the next page. For the next year, the other astronaut classmates and I learned all about the space shuttle. We studied math, computer science, navigation, meteorology, physics, and engineering. I ran every day and lifted weights to keep in shape, and I learned how to parachute during a NASA survival course. That's how you get out of some of the space shuttles. You have to parachute sometimes, not always. U.S. Air Force. Though only some astronauts are pilots, all astronaut candidates had to spend time training in a 2-seat T-38 jet. I liked flying so much, I eventually went on to earn my pilot's license. Wow, is there nothing she can't do? After a year of training, I became an astronaut, but I still had to be assigned to a space mission, and that could take years. In the meantime, I joined a team of engineers. We developed a special 50-foot-long robotic arm called a Remote Manipulator System, or RMS, that would be used during missions. Isn't that amazing? Even though she is not really out in outer space, she's inventing things, engineering things that would be used in outer space. So she helped invent and engineer this robotic machine, this arm. That's the RMS in action. Pretty cool. I also became NASA's first female capsule communicator, or Capcom. The Capcom is the only person on Earth who is allowed to talk to the astronauts while they are in space. My work as Capcom during the Shuttle Columbia's second and third missions proved that I was a team player who could stay calm under pressure. So here she is at Capcom with her headset on, talking to the astronauts while they're out in space, while she's here on Earth. Pretty cool. That's pretty far away. Then in April 1982, my biggest dream came true. I was chosen, along with astronauts Robert Crippen, Frederick Hawk, John Fabian, and Norman Thagard, to fly on the 7th Space Shuttle flight. At 32 years old, wow, so young, 32 years old, I would be the youngest American and the first American woman in space. I spent the next year working closely with the other crew members to prepare for our flight. Finally, on June 18th, 1983, I traveled into space on the Challenger space shuttle. It was the best day of my life. During our mission, astronaut John Fabian and I successfully used the RMS. Remember, that's the same thing that she helped engineer and invent. We also oversaw science experiments that had been sent into space by companies and schools. But my favorite thing about space was the view of Earth every night before I went to bed. It was incredible. There she is inside of her spacecraft looking at Earth. After we returned to Earth, I received a lot of attention because I had been the first American woman in space. I wished people would focus on the exciting advancements in science that had taken place on the shuttle instead. Still, I came to enjoy being an inspiration to young women and girls around the country. Somebody to really look up to. I was lucky enough to get a second chance to return to space. On October 5th, 1984, I flew on Challenger again. It was a 13th space shuttle mission. This time, I wasn't the only woman on board. Astronaut Catherine Sullivan was part of the crew too. There's Sally right there. In June 1985, I was assigned to fly in space a third time, but my training came to a halt when a terrible tragedy occurred. On January 28th, 1986, the same shuttle that I had taken to space, Challenger, exploded just after takeoff, killing all 7 crew members. Boys and girls, I was 14 at the time that this happened, and oh boy, did I cry for a long time when this happened. There was a teacher on the shuttle, and all of us students wanted to see the first teacher that was going to outer space, and it was, simply put, a tragedy. It was really a sad time in our nation. The country was shocked. Those astronauts had been my friends and co-workers. I was deeply saddened by the Challenger disaster. President Ronald Reagan formed a committee of 13 people to investigate the accident and determine what had gone wrong. I was the only astronaut he asked to join. The surface of the moon. After the investigation, I joined NASA's administration and helped plan the space program's future. Then in 1987, I returned to Stanford University for a science fellowship, and in 1989, I became a professor and director of the California Space Institute at the University of California in San Diego. I had returned to my earlier passion, physics research. My love of science had taken me to great heights, and I wanted to pass that joy on to others. So in 1986, I co-wrote a children's book called To Space and Back to share my amazing experiences in space with others. I went on to write 6 more books for children about science and space. In 1995, I helped NASA launch a project to enable middle school students to take photos of Earth using a special camera aboard space shuttle missions. In 2001, EarthCam was permanently installed on the International Space Station. This is the picture of the camera called EarthCam. It takes pictures of Earth. And here are some photos taken from EarthCam by children, because the camera is mounted all the time up in space, so kids can just click a button here on Earth and take a picture of Earth from outer space. It's pretty cool. The International Space Station. Today, students around the world can request new images be taken from space, and they can also search EarthCam's library of existing photos. Middle school students, or junior high school students, also have access to close-up photos of the moon's surface through the MoonCam project, which I also worked on with NASA. In 2001, I founded my own company, Sally Ride Science, to encourage children, especially girls, to stay interested in science and math. Sally Ride Science brings science to life for students and teachers around the country through workshops, educational materials, and science festivals. I died on July 23rd, 2012, from pancreatic cancer at the age of 61. I received many honors and rewards in my life, including induction into the National Women's Hall of Fame, the Astronaut Hall of Fame, and the Aviation Hall of Fame. But my greatest honor was serving as an inspiration to young people all around the world. Here's a refresher on the timeline. Born in Los Angeles in 1951. In 73, she graduated from Stanford with her degrees in physics and English. 78, chosen to join NASA and become part of the astronaut class of 79. In 83, she was a member of the Challenger space shuttle crew. She was the youngest American and the first American woman in space. It's amazing. 84, she flew on Challenger again in another space shuttle mission. 86, she co-wrote a children's book called To Space and Back. 89, she became a professor and director of the California Space Institute at the University of California in San Diego. 2001, she founded a company called the Sally Ride Science to help kids become interested in math and science. And unfortunately, she did pass away in 2012 of pancreatic cancer. So if you feel like you'd like to take an AR test on the book of Sally Ride, When I Grow Up, she's such an accomplished woman, a lot of information. It could be a little bit challenging, but I encourage you to try because reading comprehension is super important. Here's the information you need to take that test. So this is a short story by Anne Marie Anderson. The AR level is very appropriate for 5th grade, 5.5, worth a half a point, and your quiz number, I think I read it correctly, is 173620. So if that does not go in, you'll need to look up Sally Ride, When I Grow Up, with the author being Anne Marie Anderson. All right, good luck. Thank you.